Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the live streams. It's been a few weeks, unfortunately. I have been extremely busy with shooting commercials for clients, so having that opportunity to jump on, and I really wanted to keep it consistent on a Wednesday, but the last 3 Wednesdays, I think I've just been shooting commercials at night time, so I just haven't had an opportunity to be able to jump on here and do a live stream, which is a bit of a bummer because I love doing this live streams and I love just chatting about stuff and talking to you guys and answering questions and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully this is it. Hopefully we're back on the bandwagon and we can keep this up. Yeah, that's what's been happening. Tonight's live stream is all about lighting. So got a ton of different lights that we can chat about tonight. Different modifiers, different accessories. We can go through all these kind of things and you can ask your questions. I can obviously help you make an informed decision of if you want to get some lighting, if you want to get upgrade to something, if you want to downgrade for something, whatever the decision you have you're trying to make at the moment is. But that's kind of like where we are at the moment. So yeah, firstly, the live stream. I don't know what was going on with my little dongle thing to connect to the computer, but was having a hard time, was having a bad time, so hopefully it doesn't just cut out halfway through. Also, what does the audio sound like? Because, again, I'm never really sure about the audio with this. I mean, it's on auto, so it should be sounding okay. What does it sound like? Just let me know in the comments below. Is the audio level okay? Is it too low? Is it too high? Let me know and I can quickly fix this. Got Bailey on. Hey, what's going on, dude? And we got a first question as well. Let me just, before I get into this, I want to make sure the audio is okay because there's no point me answering the question if you guys can't hear me. So, audio sounds good. What mic are you using? I'm using the Deity D something Pro. Apologies. D3 Pro. It's also a battery, so if it ever dies throughout the stream, let me know and I will fix that. All right, let's get straight into it. Amir Ashmoy, I don't know how you say name. Apologies for butchering it. Hello, bro. I just bought the Forza 300B based on your recommendations, and I want to add another light to my arsenal. Wanted your recommendations. Sweet. Firstly, I'm stoked that you took on my recommendation to get it. Absolutely amazing light. It is this one back here. It is still in the box. First question is, before we get into it too much, is what kind of shooting are you currently doing, or are you typically doing, or you're potentially wanting to do? So you're saying you want to add another light into your arsenal. Why do you feel you need another light, or what is the reason for adding another light into your arsenal? So let me know. I'll quickly talk about this and then we can get into it a bit more. Forza 300B. Freaking amazing. One of my higher powered lights, I guess, apart from the Evoke. Bicolored 300B is means that it goes from 2700 to 6500 Kelvin, which is amazing. And what I really love about bicolored lights is that for me, as kind of like a single operator, potentially having like 1 or 2 other people, but most of the time I'm generally operating by myself, is that being able to change the color temperature of lights remotely is so easy, and not having to add gels to my lights and all that kind of stuff, and think about like, okay, I need to put a quarter CTO on this, I need to put a half CTB on this. Trying to think about all that stuff while I'm also trying to think about what does the shot look like? Are the characters ready? You know, are we getting the right shots? Are we on schedule? Like, there's so many other things going through my mind, and having to think about how to, like, changing color temperatures and stuff physically using gels and stuff is just something that I don't really want to have to deal with, which is why a lot of my lights are actually bicolored. So this is the Forza 60B. Let me get rid of this. Forza 60B, which is a tiny little light. Like if I compare this to, this is an iPhone 13 Pro. Like, such a tiny light. But again, bicolored, and the main reason I like bicolored is just easy to control. The light that I'm using to light myself right now is the Forza 60, so it is not bicolored. The reason I went with that is that because in my studio set up like this just lives here. I never take this out, and I don't need it to change color because typically all the stuff I'm doing is just at 5600 Kelvin. Like, I never really change the color temperature of my key light when I'm recording my YouTube videos or doing live streams or anything like that. So that is kind of like why this one's not bicolored, and the one that I do take on set, which is the Forza 60B, is bicolored. Now, the other thing to keep in mind if you are going with the bicolored light is that the output is not going to be as bright on the bicolored one as it would be on the daylight balance one. So if we were to compare say a Forza 60 to a Forza 60B, both at 5600 Kelvin, which is what a daylight balance light would be at, or 55, roughly around there, you'll notice that the Forza 60 will be slightly brighter than the Forza 60B, and that is because the Forza 60B has to utilize obviously 2700 Kelvin chips and 6500 Kelvin chips in the same size chip, or in the same size area as something that just has 5600 Kelvin chips. So hopefully this isn't too confusing. Hopefully I'm not losing you. But essentially, there's more of the same chips on a Forza 60, just at 5600 Kelvin, than on a Forza 60B, and that's why you're going to get more output out of something like that. But the good thing is that when you obviously add a gel or add a modifier or anything onto a light, you lose light. So it's never going to be perfect. Like if you add a full CTO onto a Forza 60, which should take it down to about 2700 Kelvin, you are going to lose light. And what I've found in my tests, not always, but sometimes, is that the bicolored version of a light typically tends to be slightly brighter than a daylight balance light with a gel on top of it. And obviously there's different gels you can get. Some will cut more light, some will cut less light. But just in the gels that I've been doing and the tests that I've been doing, it's very similar, but I feel like there's a little bit more output with a bicolored light if you are going to be adding gels to your daylight balance light. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. I haven't got an answer from Amir. That's what I'm going to call you. I'm not sure if that's your name. But let's just go through this. Let's break this down. So he has a 300B. He wants a secondary light or another light to add to his arsenal. 300B is typically a good key light, so that's a very powerful light. You typically don't need as powerful a light for a fill or a hair or anything like that. If you're wanting to stick with a Bowen, like a full-size Bowen, so like this is the FS150. This is a full-size Bowen's mount, so you can see how big the chip is on here. Focus. You can see how big the chip is on that. That is a full-size Bowen's mount, as opposed to this, which is a mini Bowen's. So if you're using a Forza 300B and you want to stay with a full-size Bowen's mount, then potentially something like... There's a lot of different... Oh, here we go. I'm looking for a light to create cool light rays with. All right, here we go. So that has given us more information. So light rays will come from a very intense beam, but also with haze. So the light itself won't create light rays. It's the conditions that you put it in to make light rays. But what you can do is that typically most lights you can add, say, a Fresnel to, which is this little thing here. Actually, if I take this off, I can show you this. So this is what's called a Fresnel, and it's essentially like a lens. You can see there. It's essentially a lens that you put in front of your light, and it increases the output, but it also actually like spots down the light. So typically with light rays, it'll be like kind of like a spotted beam or a very kind of controlled beam, and you can actually do that with a Fresnel lens. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to get a particular light to do that. It's how you use the light and the environment that you put it in to make those light beams. So like you could get a mixed panel or something and still get light beams. It's not going to be as easy because the source isn't as bright and it's not as controlled. But if you've got, like, say, a Forza 60B with a Fresnel and you add haze to a room, then you're going to get real nice like light rays or light beams. But again, it's going to be very confined as well. So there's a lot of different things you have to think of when you are purchasing lights, and think about the conditions that you want to use it in, and then I guess go from there. If you have a 300B and you love the versatility of being able to battery power off V-locks and have the controls on the ballast separate to the head, then a Forza 200 would be like another option. But then once you start going down to your Forza 150, Forza 60 with the mini bones mount, you lose the control because it's all in the head, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can still power those off V-mount batteries. But again, potentially have to get different modifiers and stuff. So yeah, something to keep in mind. I'd recommend something like a 150 watt light as like a secondary, because you don't need as much output as a Forza 300B. But because you're filling it or you're using it as a hair light or something, then yeah, you can typically use a lower powered light. So yeah, hopefully that has answered your question. It is the compression thing seems to happen when you're showing the lights in particular. Once again, not sure, it's just me. Oh, my camera feed. All right, very interesting. Oh, Quosnick, what's going on? Oh, and Avdo, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, don't know. Maybe it is me. My internet recently has been really bad, so if it is getting really compressed, then I apologize. Probably my internet on my end, so hopefully it resolves itself. If not, I can actually like tether to my phone and use that. Let me know if it's still bad or not, and I'll tether to my phone and see if that helps the problem. But yeah, hopefully that's answered your question. Let's just jump on Instagram, because I did ask my audience on Instagram what they wanted to be answered, and let's go through this. The first one, how do I look at responses? Bailey, actually, you asked this question. I'd bring it up if I could, but I can't. So Bailey's asked, how much should you spend on lighting to start in photo shoots? Now, Bailey, again, let's get a little more information. So when you say photo shoots, are you meaning photos or video? Yeah, and are you talking about continuous lights or strobes? Because obviously, typically with photography, you would be using... a lot of the time you use strobes, but now because these continuous lights are becoming quite powerful, you can start moving into... You can start moving into continuous lights to actually use it for photography as well. So let me know in the comments below, are you using it for photography or video? And you're talking about continuous lights or strobe lights, and then we can answer that in a sec. Now, something I wanted to talk about was different kinds of lights for now, because there is just like so many different kinds of lights, and it can get a little bit overwhelming. And again, it's like Amir was asking before, it's like he's got a 300B, but now what other light does he get? And it really depends on what you're doing. So like this is a PowerTube 6C Mark II. Absolutely amazing light. Let's quickly turn this on. It's got amazing features, so I don't know why I always get tired. I always get yawny on these live streams. Let's turn this down to like 1% because we don't want to blow out everything. Let's go 5%. Okay, so Forza, Nanlite PowerTube 6C Mark II. This is a RGB 6-inch light, I believe. It is is that 6-inch? 1 foot. 1 foot is what it is. But it is so it is obviously RGB, so you can bicolor it. So this is cool. We can go warm to 2700 Kelvin. We can also go to RGB. So we have, if I cycle through this, so we have a whole bunch of different colors because we can choose any color because it is RGB, which makes it very, I guess, like versatile, and you can use it in lots of different situations. But something to keep in mind is that obviously, we've got different effects as well. So you've got police car, you got storm, you got paparazzi, all the typical ones that you find in most lights. These comes in the little one. Now, keep in mind is, let's go, blue, perfect. Something to keep in mind is that this is a fairly small light source, so it's not going to be super duper soft, and it's also not going to be super duper bright. So if I actually turn off my main light, let's see how bright it actually is. So this is the light coming from the PowerTube. Let's get a real life demo of this. So let me crank this up a bit. So this is the light coming from the 6C Mark II. So it's actually not, it's actually quite soft, mainly because the actual light itself is quite wide. It's just not quite Oh, sorry, it's quite long. It's just not quite wide. So if we put it sideways like this, it does look fairly good. But you can see there's a lot, like these shadows on my nose are fairly harsh. And if I bring it this way, you can really see how harsh these shadows are. And that's just because the light source itself isn't that big. And that's something you're going to have to deal with if you are using smaller lights. One thing you can do is bring it closer, which will make the light source bigger. So if I turn this down a little bit, so 20%. If I bring this closer, it's very bright as well. It will make the light source softer because typically it is bigger being closer. But obviously you can't necessarily be shooting like this because it's right in the frame sort of thing. So again, something to keep in mind. But yeah, these are really good to use as practicals. So if you are, say, shooting with a lamp or something, but you need to control the light coming out of the lamp, I typically will throw one of these in there just because it's really easy to then control what color it is, what the brightness is, all that kind of stuff. Let me put my Forza 60 back on. Typically, it's much easier to control the light coming out of this than trying to like use dimmers and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes the light bulbs that are in actual practicals can't be dimmed, so that's where this comes in really good. Nanlite also do a Lido light as well, which is a little rectangular light. Again, a really good kind of light to add into actual like fixtures and stuff. Alright, Bailey, right now mainly photography as that is what I prefer right now, but continuous lights will be handy. That way I can apply it to video as well. Okay, perfect. You touched on a few good things here. So let me just have a sip of water. So yeah, so if you are going to be using lights for photo and video, then obviously you can't use strobe. So that I guess that is one of the good things about using continuous lights. You can use it for video and you can use it for photography as well. But if you are just using, if you are just getting strobes, then you can't use it for video. Typically, well, yeah, you just can't use it for video. So yeah, if you're wanting to do both, continuous lights are the way to go. Now, what kind of photography are you doing? Are you doing quite close-up photography or quite wide? That will determine how much budget you need to spend on it, and I guess how much power you need to get in a light. Keeping that in mind, the Nanlite FS series of light, so that is this light right here, big old chip. Hopefully your compression doesn't destroy this, but can you see that the chip is lots of little chips? So instead of one big chip, it's lots of little chips. So that is actually a design that has specifically been done for the FS series for a particular reason. So by making lots of little chips rather than one big chip, it's like having lots of little sources of light, and it can create a really soft source from, say, it's a chip like this, without having to modify it too much. So the FS range of lights from Nanlite are actually designed more so for studio or photographers because the light coming out of it is much softer from the chip itself. So that is what is really cool. And also the FS series is much cheaper, mainly because it's an all-in-one design. So if I bring it down the back here, it's going to be a little bit bigger than some of the other lights, but you can see that it's an all-in-one. So we have all the controls. Get rid of this. We have all the controls on the back. We also have power and there's a fuse as well, so power cable in. It just means that all the power components are actually in here. So we have a heatsink. This is going to be a power block in here. And yeah, that is why it's a little bit cheaper. You cannot power the FS series of batteries. That is one of the big downsides. That's also why it's a lot cheaper as well. But still an amazing light. Still has a CRI of 97, 98, TLCA of 96 or whatever. Really good output. And like the FS1, I think the FS300 retails for about 400 Australian. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it is not very expensive for the amount of output you're getting. Let's actually look this up because I am Nanlite FS300. So an FS300 will set you back, oh, a little bit more, sorry. An FS300 will set you back 599 Australian dollars. There is currently $90 cash back from Nanlite on that at the moment, going through Protog. So $600. But if you compare that to a Nanlite Forza 300, which is typically the same amount of output, you just get more, I guess, flexibility. The Nanlite Forza 300 is $1,400. So a little bit over double, about 120% more for the same amount of output, but you get less features. So that is something to keep in mind. But like I said, my goal is to be able to do studio work, professional headshots in particular, along with product photography occasionally. Sweet. So yeah, if you're wanting to buy lights that will work for photography, but then also help you start in video and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, definitely continuous lights. And I definitely look at the FS series by Nanlite, just because they're being designed for photographers, like to have with photographers in mind. So they're going to be your best option in terms of like cost wise as well, and also the softness of the light that's typically coming out of any sort of light straight off the bat sort of thing. But then keep in mind as well, if you're budgeting for this stuff, you have to budget for a light and the modifiers and all the other stuff as well. So keep in mind that if you don't have any soft boxes, what you might need, a soft box, you might need whatever other modifier you want. But there's also kits as well. So it must be when I talk. I must just get really tired or something. I don't know. So you can get kits at the moment. So you can get a twin Nanlite FS150 twin kit with soft boxes and a case for just over 1,100 Australian dollars, which I think is a extremely good deal. FS150 is 150 watts is actually a lot of power as well. You're not going to be overpowering like daylight inside. You can come very close if you don't modify the light too much. But if you're wanting to overpower sun, then that is kind of where you're stepping up into that FS300, that 300 watt range or above. But that is a really good price, and it comes with your soft boxes, it comes with your stand, and also comes with a case as well. So very, very cool. Actually, can I share that? Share screen. Oh, I'm not going to share the screen because I don't know. Oh, can I do this? Share screen. Oh, no, it's like a window. Here we go. Bam. Share. Here we go. Oh, sweet. Okay, so this is on the Protog website. On $100 cashback as well. So 1,059 Australian dollars. You get two Nanlite FS150s. You get light stands, you get softbox, and you get a case as well. Bargain. That is wicked. It's got Jimbei light stands. And again, let's have a look. That is the FS150 there, which is also this one. And also, it's a pretty compact light as well, like fairly small. This was actually my main light in my studio until I got the Forza 60B. And the reason that I got rid of this and upgraded to the Forza 60B, or upgraded, I wouldn't say it's necessarily an upgrade. The reason I changed to the Forza 60 was way less space, so I can have a much smaller footprint. And also when I now boom it over to do my product stuff, it's way less weight on my little C-stand arm that I've got in here. So that's the main reason. Also, fan noise as well. The FS range, the fan noise is a little bit louder, just because obviously all the power and stuff is in that head, so it's going to have to get rid of more heat. But still an absolutely amazing light. Here we go. CRI of 96 and a TLCI of 98. So it's going to be very color accurate, which is pretty cool. You also have the practical effects as well. There's some modifiers you can get. Yeah. Pretty dang cool. Also connects to the new Nanlink app, which is very exciting as well. That's actually really cool. I'm glad that I was able to share this. How do I get out of it now? Bam. Get back. Alright. Oh, no. Actually, I might leave that. Oh. And then I can bring out other stuff. Alright. Sweet. If anyone else has any questions, guys, if you have questions, leave a link down below. Oh, I can see that my connection is unstable. Let me change to my phone because that might make it a little bit better. Personal hotspot. Andrew iPhone. Alright, we've changed connections. I'm now on my iPhone internet. It's still saying... Oh, no, 2 bars now. Connection is fairly good. Okay, let me know if that's much better. Hopefully that whole spiel that I just did was actually okay and you could hear it. It wasn't like super choppy. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, Bailey. You're a bloody legend, mate. I really appreciate it. Yeah, they'll go straight back into the channel. Making better content. Doing cool stuff. But yeah, definitely look for what you... Try to figure out what you want. And then, yeah, just set a target, set a budget, and then just slowly be working towards that. Save like 10, 50, 100 bucks a week, whatever you can do, and you'll slowly get there. And then, yeah. It's also much cheaper if you buy it in a kit as well, rather than buying everything individually. You can save a little bit of money by adding stuff together. So, again, Bailey, thank you so much. I'm going to leave that up there just because you're a bloody legend until someone else asks the question. So, guys, like I was saying, if you have any lighting questions, leave them down below. Happy to go through them. Happy to chat through it. But until someone asks another question, let's talk about some modifiers and stuff. So, lights by themselves are amazing, but to get the best out of lights, you typically need to modify them. So, like a light like this is good, but if you just use this by itself, the light's just going to spill everywhere, and you need to start controlling it. So, that's a bad example because I don't know where the grid is for this. It is in one of my boxes, but let's use the Forza 60B as an example. So this is the Forza 60B. Tiny little chip. Look how small that is. Bloody tiny. So this by itself is going to be a very hard source because the light or the chip itself is very small. So again, the smaller the source, the harder the light. The bigger we can make it, the softer the light is going to be. So one thing we can do with this is we can obviously add a softbox or something. Another thing we can do, and one of my favorite accessories, if you don't have one of these, you'll get one after hanging out with me too much. This is, like I showed before, this is a Fresnel lens. This focuses the light. So let's actually do a demo, and I can show you exactly how this works. Let me quickly get a... Where is the power handle? Where have I put it? I've lost it. Oh no. I had it just here. Here it is. Alright. Power handle. This is one of the cool things about using V-Lock. So, V-Lock battery. This is a KMTV Mini 99. My absolute favorite V-Lock batteries. Purely because they're really, really cheap for what they are. They're super duper small, super duper compact. And they output 15 amps, which is insane. A lot of lights don't actually, a lot of batteries cannot do that, which is just insane. So let's chuck this on here, and I'll show you exactly what this is. I have Bailey. I'll answer this just after I show you this. I haven't seen too much about them, but I have started seeing them. So let's just start with no modifier on at all. Let's bring this down to, let's go 5600 Kelvin. Oh, I'll go 2700, just so it's a bit of a temperature difference. Okay, Forza 60B is at 2700 Kelvin. If I was to shine this, I guess, on me, you can see how harsh the light source is because the source is so small. This is at 1%. Freaking wild. But if I was to modify this, actually, I'll crank it up and I'll shine it in the background. So let's go 30%. See how the light is just spilling everywhere. So this is basically in front of me, and it's spilling onto me. Like there's just no way of controlling this. So what a Fresnel will do is it will control or help you control the light. So this is on the widest beam. So we can see now that we have a bit more control over this light. See how it's like a circle? Now what the cool thing is about a Fresnel is that I can actually twist this and it will focus the light. So see how big-ish the beam is? As I focus this, see how it's getting smaller and smaller? It's now this tiny little beam. Let me turn this down a bit so it's not so freaking bright. See, that's this tiny little spot in the background. This is what I love about a Fresnel. But also, the best thing as well is that the more you spot it down, so the more you go from a wide beam to a small beam, the brighter the light also gets. So we're currently on, like if I go, this is on 1%, and you can actually see it on the background still, right? But if I was to make it wide, see how you can't really see it on the background? Or like on my wall back there? It's just not doing anything. But again, if I spot this down, we'll be able to see it slowly start to appear in a tiny little beam. So this can, some of these can output up to 4 times the amount of light. So it would typically turn, theoretically, a 60 watt into a 240 watt light, which is just insane. But you have to remember, it's in a very small area. But what this is good for is for hair lights. So it means that you can get really nice hair lights or side lights or anything because you can control the light and you can focus it. And you don't need a lot of power, even if you're outdoors or in a very bright situation, because the light is so focused. So that is why a Fresnel is one of my absolute favorite accessories for any light. And this is actually a kit that I take with me everywhere. So this is the Forza 60B with the FL11 Fresnel. Let me focus on this. Hello. FL11. It's not focusing for some reason. FL11. This literally comes to me everywhere, and I always have V-Locks with me, and I always have this handle, so I can power this remotely and put a spot or a hair light or anything wherever I want. It's just absolutely freaking amazing. I absolutely love this light. One of my absolute favorite lights in my kit for versatility. Alright, let's answer this question and then we'll get on to projectors, because that is another very cool accessory. So, have you seen the new Smory lights? I think they came out yesterday. Let's look this up, because RC120D. Page not found. Okay. It's not a good start. I've just seen that it looks a lot like the Aperture Amaran, whatever that one's called. And I've seen a few memes going around by how they've like copied it and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's a, what is a 120 watt light? Is it a mini COB or is it a full size COB? I think it's a full size. Sorry, it's like right behind the camera, so I'm trying to see. It is daylight balanced. It has effects. Standard Bowen's mount. So, let me put this. Man, everything's phone's dying. That's trying to use the internet. Everything's happening tonight, isn't it? All right, that's charging now. Yeah, I mean, 120 watt light. I'd say that the thing that you'd probably notice the most is potentially color accuracy. So let's see. Works off V-Locks. Got a quiet fan. Doesn't say the color accuracy, which is a little bit concerning. Might just not be on the B&H website. Just says high CRI rating. Whatever that means. But yeah, there's just there's a lot of these kind of like smaller 120 watt lights coming out, 150 watts, 100 watts. The main thing to keep in mind is that when you do go cheap with these products is that typically they're made of plastic, so they're just not going to last as long. There's a brand called like coal bore or something, and I know Jason's got a few other lights. We use them on a shoot, and they're just like really cheap, really plastic, and just like just the output, like it said that it would do 100 watts or something, but it was like a burst at 100 watts, and it wasn't really, and it got really hot, and the color temperature was really hard to control, and yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. If you only have a small budget, then and you really want a light, then try it out. But typically, if you are getting a really cheap light, you have to expect to get cheap results out of it. Like, I find that Nanlite is really positioned in the middle of these brands, because it's like you still get really nice quality, but you don't have to pay exorbitant amounts of money. Like, they're definitely not cheap, but they're definitely not super expensive as well. They're still affordable for most people. So, oh, here we go. Alvin, the man himself. What's going on, buddy? 95 plus, 96 plus. Yeah. So, I mean, very similar. I think most lights now you're going to have around that range. Typically when they say so-and-so plus, it means that it's kind of like, it might be higher, but it's not quite there. So, yeah, again, like, much of a muchness. Depends what you want to do. The main thing to keep in mind, and the main thing that, the main reason that I am heavily invested in the Nanlite ecosystem, is that I like the products that they're making, and they all work together. So whatever you go with, make sure that you like them before you go all in on them. Because if you start having like whatever, like a 3 or 4 different brands, and you try work together with them on set, it makes it really difficult, especially if you are like a solo shooter or someone who's I guess working in a small team. Having to like have multiple different remotes or multiple different apps to control all your lights is a really big pain, and especially if you start doing like practical lighting effects, it makes it basically impossible to do with different brands of lights. So yeah, test out a few different lights, see which ones you like. Obviously, I would highly recommend Nanlite lights because like I said, they're positioned really well. They are very high quality, and they're not super duper expensive as well. So you're getting the best of both worlds, which I think, and the stuff that they're coming out with is just really, really cool. This year there's some really cool products coming out. I'm really excited to share with you guys what they are. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Alvin, what is your favorite Nanlite and Nanlux lights, and why? All right. Well, Nanlux, I've only got the Evoke, so it has to be the Evoke. In terms of Nanlite products, Fresnel's, cannot go past them. I just absolutely love them. Forza 60B, insane. Just the amount of output you get from it and the size, it just makes it so easy. Like, that is tiny. I actually shot a wedding the other day for a mate, and the lighting there was terrible, and I took this with me because I was like, just in case they don't have any lights, the lighting is terrible, or there's just, I don't know, it's like it's an overcast day or something. So I put this up in the corner, and we actually used this to light everything because I was shooting video, and it worked so good. Like, I could control it from my phone, I could change the intensity and stuff. I ended up using the Fresnel just to kind of like spot the light and output, increase the output a bit. Run off batteries as well, so super easy enough to find power points. But again, like, this is not, it's not heavy as well. It's not big, it's not bulky. In terms of a high powered light, 300B for sure. 300B with a Fresnel, so good. It's just powerful enough to overpower the sun. I typically use it when I am outdoors and say it's an overcast day, or shooting in shadows or in the shade, because what I can do is I can add the Fresnel onto it, turn it down to 2700 Kelvin, and it basically will simulate golden hour light. So even if we're in the middle of the day or on an overcast day, you can still make your shots look really nice. I can actually show you a shot. Let me quickly bring up. I'm actually going to do a full video on this, or a full post on this. I'll just show you real quick. Well, actually, I can... Let me upload the video, because I can't share... Oh, and I can share my screen. Okay, here we go. Where are we looking? It is... This one, it is a video that I recently finished for a client. Let me make this a little bit smaller so I can still see it on my screen. And I want to stop screen share. I want to choose this one. All right. Can you guys see this? Let me know. Yes. Fresnel's. Oh, sorry. Fresnel's. Oh, Fresnel's. So good. Can you guys see this? This is probably better. So this is a recent shoot that I finished for a client here on the Gold Coast. Hopefully this isn't too laggy. Hopefully it's loading all right. But one of the scenes in here, it was after the sun had gone down and the lighting was super duper flat. So what I had to do is I brought the Forza 300B with me, powered off batteries, just because. Actually, the funny thing as well. Let me go back to here. So these shots, where is it? Here. So would you say that like it's like a sunny day? Typically you'd go, I'll make it full screen. Typically you'd go, yes, this is a sunny day, right? So this is the Forza 300B with the Fresnel lens. So again, this was in the shade, so there wasn't any light. It's typically in here, and I had one of the assistants on the shoot just pumping the light into this lady or into the scene. It wasn't even that far away as well, and it was on. I think it was on 3200 Kelvin, so not too warm that it looks like fake, but just enough to basically make it pop. If we keep going through here, we'll get to the scene that I want to show you, which is just after we get back. So here. So again, looks like a nice sunny day. The light on the people here is not the sunlight. The sun was behind me. So I'm shooting. Have I got Epic Pen on here? Epic Pen, I do. Let's quickly do this. Where's it gone? Epic Pen, where are you? There we go. Okay. Okay. So, can you guys see this? No. Why isn't that working? How annoying is that? Okay, so I can't draw on the screen. That's okay. Yeah, so this light here on our talent is not actually sunlight. It is the Forza 300B. And again, if we come through here, this is a shot I wanted to show you guys. So all this lighting here, the side light, the Forza 300B is off to the side here. I actually have a shot that I can show you from behind the scenes, kind of, where I actually have the Forza 300B. And again, I'm going to do a video on this because this is such a simple technique, but it absolutely just changes the look of your videos. Because typically if you're shooting in somewhere flat, you think that you have to bring in this crazy lighting setup to make it look really good, when you don't bring in a small light, a small portable light, like say the Forza 300B. You can run it off batteries, and you can make it look really good. Let me go down to here. Sorry, let me share. Where is this shot? Stay with me, guys. I'm just finding this shot so I can show you the before and the after. Here. Where is the shot I wanted to show you? It is here. Let's get rid of this. Bam. Here we go. Let's do this. Let me just add a bit of color correction onto it so it doesn't look trash. Doing this live. Actually, why don't I just share my DaVinci Resolve screen? That might be better. Remove. Share screen. Share screen. Window. DaVinci. This is going to be super wide. Can everyone see this? Is that all good? So we're in DaVinci Resolve right now. You can see this is the lighting setup. Forza 300B. Let's make this full screen. Forza 300B. I think it's lagging a little bit. Oh, why is that not full screen? That's so weird. Let me get rid of the clips. No, I need that. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so this Forza 300B with the Fresnel, it is on the widest setting. So it engulfs the most amount of light, I guess. Anyway, go to the next shot. This is what the shot looked like beforehand. Like, look how boring this looks. There's just no shape. There's a little bit of spill onto this back wall, which is, I guess, kind of cool. Like, it's adding a bit of depth. But then if we compare, let me go grab a still. If I go back to the actual shot, which is here. Look how much better that looks. Let me quickly export this, and I can show you side by side. 300B. Alright, I'm going to quickly change this again. Let's remove this. Let's load up these two photos. Open. I'll share my screen as this one. Here we go. Make this a bit bigger for you guys. Bam. Here we go. This is after. This is before. Can we see the difference? Like, it's just night and day. This is boring. This is flat. This is nothing going on. It's a bit smaller. And this is a very simple lighting technique that you can do with, I guess, any light. Like, you don't need a super powerful light. Obviously, the more light you have, the further you can put your light away, and the bigger area that you can light up with a bright amount of light. But this is super simple. You can see it on the girls over here. Super flat. It's just boring because it's not there's no shape to it. It's just flat. Whereas once you add in this, we have a bit of a side light. We can see that on our talent here, we have like these highlights here. We have highlights and shadows, which add depth to our image and which makes it look good. And you wouldn't be able to tell that the light isn't coming from the right of screen. The sun's actually here. This is the sun right here. It's set. It's below here, so it's not coming through. I guess you're getting a little bit of light coming through, which is like a fill. But all this light here, all this highlighting light here, is all from Forza 300B. That is just adding a Forza 300B. With a Fresnel lens. With the Fresnel lens as well. So the Fresnel is just going to focus the light a bit more and give a bit more output. I believe this was on 100%. So 100% plus a Fresnel, you're going to get, I guess, like potentially like 150, 200% of the output of the light. But yeah, that's one light. There to there. That is the exact same camera settings as well. Actually, I think this might be trying to match it a bit. But essentially the same camera settings, just adding in a 300B. Crazy. Yes, it is insane. But something super duper simple. And this is the kind of stuff that I want to try to do more tutorials about. Just showing you guys that you don't need a lot of gear. You don't need a lot of these crazy lighting techniques to make something look good. Something as simple as this just looks good. I can show you another clip as well, which again, let me load this up. It's just very simple techniques that just make everything look freaking amazing. Same client as well. We did a About Us promo. Let me load this up, make it a bit smaller, share the screen for you guys. Same, very similar technique. This is obviously a drone shot. Do it. Get it. It's freaking amazing. You'll love it. Alright, let's have a look. So, let's get through here. This is all natural light. Just utilizing... Okay, this is... Let's go through this. This is a really good way of utilizing natural light like you're using lights. So the sun is behind our subject, and this is maybe like 10 o'clock. So the sun is up higher. It is out of frame. So we're not having to deal with the sun blowing out our image. If the sun was down here, we'd get nice shape, but then we'd get this massive hotspot here, and we wouldn't get any color in the back of the image here. So we're getting a nice kind of like hair light. There isn't much, I guess, like shape in her face. It's kind of bouncing up on her face. Ideally, if we had more time and I had an assistant as well, I'd have someone with a reflector here wrapping the light around, again, to lighten this side of her face, to add more shape. But sometimes you have to deal with what you're given. And this is what I'm saying. When you're a solo shooter, you really have to work with what you've got and just try to utilize as much as you can what you have access to. So the actual shots that I wanted to get into was the shots once they actually start getting to the house. So here, again, same technique. Here, Forza 300B off to the right, because again, it was overcast. Actually, no, sorry, it wasn't overcast. It was not after sunset, but in Queensland at about 45 minutes before it hits the sunset, before sunset, it goes behind the mountains, so we lose all the light here on the coast. So this was at that time. There was no actual light beams hitting or sunlight hitting it. It was just a lot of ambience from like bouncing up around the sky. So I added a 300B on the right over here, pumped it in this way with a Fresnel. You can see what it's doing. It's just adding a lot of shape to our image. Again, if we go to the next shot, for the 300B, just off there, we're adding shape. We're getting this light and dark areas on our image to make it look so much better. Again, here, for the 300B, you can see it in the shot. Naughty me. Again, pumping back here, we're getting these little light areas on our subjects just to make it look better. Like it just adds depth. Again, here, Forza 300B on here. Like, this is the main reason why I love the Forza 300B and the Fresnel, because it's enough output to overpower the sun, and you can make really nice looking golden out images. I got better ones than this. Let's have a look. That one wasn't using it. This one, that's all natural light, thankfully. But this one, again, this light here, Forza 300B with a Fresnel. You think it looks like sunset. It looks like sunset light. The sun was behind me again. But again, it had gone down over the mountains. We had no sunset. And then again, if we go to... Oh, I don't have the final shot of that. This is also Forza. This is actually Forza... No, that is Forza 300 as well. Again, very, very versatile. This is Forza 300, Forza 300, Forza 300. Actually, this is Forza 60. Which is very interesting. Here, Forza 300. Forza 300 would... this is the shot I want to show you. This here is sunset. The light on her face is not, because it wasn't bouncing on her. So this is actually the Forza 300. This is sunset. And you can see this is a very harsh edge. This is a little bit softer because we're using a bit of a bigger source because it's closer to the subject. But yeah, all these shots here, Forza 300B, Forza 300B, Forza 300B. It's just this, Forza 300B. Adding shape to our image. Now, hopefully, by the end, at this point, you've realized how much I love the Forza 300B with the Fresnel lens and how versatile it is. And all this as well, keep this in mind, this is the best part. All this was running off V-Lock batteries, which you can buy. Like, I bought mine for $180 each. This runs off 2 V-Lock batteries. So for $400, maybe $450 because they're starting to go up. For $450 plus the cost of the light, you can use this light anywhere. Anywhere. Okay, I guess like the downsides is that the batteries that I use will only power up full power for 45 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes. That is something you have to keep in mind. But super portable, super powerful. You can make images look so good, and it's easy to set up as well. That is the main thing that I want to talk to you guys about. Anyway, we've talked enough about the Forza 300B. Let's talk about some other things. Let me bring up... I've got 5 minutes left. I'm going to end this at an hour. But essentially, I won't load up anything else because it's probably going to take me 5 minutes to load it up. But I do have a lot of kind of like lighting breakdowns and little behind the scenes videos that we shot while shooting short films and commercials and stuff that I am going to post up soon. So get keen for that. But yeah, what do you guys want to see? Like, comment down below. Do you want to see more simple lighting setups, kind of like this, with just a 1 4 surrounded B with a Fresnel to get really nice images? Or do you want expansive lighting setups, or do you want, like, what do you want to see? Because I'd be interested to see the kind of stuff that you guys want to see more of. But yeah, anyway, when are you planning to release a February short film? That is a very good question. We are shooting it tomorrow night, so more than likely it'll probably be the end of Feb. There's no event or date tied to it like the last one we did. I can let you know the name, but the name is called What Happened in Mexico. So you'll find out once you watch it what that is all about. But a bit of a hint for you guys that are on the stream right now to give you a bit of an insight. It's going to be very inspired by Blade Runner, that kind of like really neon futuristic lighting, because I really want to do something like that. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to ruin it. But yeah, very excited. Very excited to shoot this. It does sound amazing. It is going to be amazing. I just finished the script today. I sent it to our talent to read. They love it. I've locked in a location. I've locked in an assistant for tomorrow. So yeah, it's going to be very, very fun. I think it's interesting to see both worlds. But for me, as I'm just getting started to get into lights, then it's the easy setups. Perfect. I'm actually going to do a full video. It was supposed to be released tonight, but I just haven't had a chance to film it. All about projector mounts. So I know some of you do use these and you know a little bit about them, but I've had so many questions on the Nanlite user community about projector mounts. So I want to do a full video talking about this one and also the new one they've just released, which is just down here, and the different lenses as well. So I've currently got the 36-degree lens on at the moment, which I just got today actually, which is very, very cool. And this is I can get it out of the bag. Got a cute little bag. This is the 19-degree lens. So again, a lot of people are a little bit confused about what the degrees mean. So that is going to go into a whole bunch of, I guess, answer questions about projectors, show some ways that you can use it, and go through what the degrees and what a projector actually does. Because that's the easiest way to talk about it. What do you use a projector for? Why do you need a projector? Why should you go out and buy a projector? That is what the next video is going to be all about. But I also want to do a video about modifiers. So like, when do you use grids? When do you use softboxes? When do you not use ones? When do you use, big modifiers? When do you use projectors? When do you use Fresnels? When do you use barn doors? When do you use flags? All that kind of stuff. That will be another video coming up very soon. Plus, there is a lot of exciting stuff happening in March for lighting. That's all I can say. I can't say any more, but stick around. If you love lighting like I do, March is a freaking big month. And I have a lot of content coming. So that's all I can say. Get excited. Yeah. I really wish I was in the Gold Coast, could help out. Maybe if I travel out there at some point. Let me know if you're up here, man. Would love to have you on one of the short films for sure. Good luck with the short film. Thank you so much. Oh no. Okay, we've got low battery. I'm going to jump off right now because it's going to die. Thank you so much to everyone that has tuned in. I really appreciate, guys, all the support. Bailey, you're a freaking legend. Thank you so much for the donation. I'm going to try to get back into this every Wednesday night and keep it consistent. But yeah, thank you again. Hope you guys have an amazing week. Get keen for some BTS for the short film tomorrow. And heaps of BTS for the next, I guess, few actual weeks as well, because I got so many commercials coming out, so much content coming up. So yeah, stay tuned, subscribe, like, do all that stuff, share it with your friends, and yeah, have fun, stay creative, just be you, and have fun. Thanks, guys. A good night.